Again, let's check your GRE, GMAT, SAT, IELTS, and TOEFL tutor. I do give assistance in the GRE, GMAT, SAT, IELTS, and TOEFL. So if you have any form of request or you need my assistance in any way, I'll leave my contact in the video description below. You can contact me and then I'll see how best I can help you. But today we are going to look at the 7 main forms of percentage questions you should expect in the GRE, GMAT, and SAT. Usually these percentage questions can either come independently or they can come under the data interpretation questions. So it's a very good topic. It's very, very important in the GRE, GMAT, and SAT. So please stay tuned to the end in order to be able to grasp fully what I'm going to give to you. So good luck. So we start with finding the percent of. How do we find, let's say, 22% of 3,000 faster? Here we can simply point 0.22 by 3,000. Usually it's faster to do it on the right hand side of the keyboard with the number pad in the GRE exam. So 0.22 we know to be 22% by 3,000. This gives us 660. So better still, you can find 22% of 100, which we know to be 22. And we know there are 30 hundreds in 3,000. So we just multiply 22 by 30. And this gives us 660. So you can do it this way or you can use your calculator on the GRE exam. Which one works faster for you? Now let's move on to percentage increase. How do you increase an amount by 15%? Here, you would first convert 15% into a decimal, which gives us 0.15. Then you add that to 1 to give us 1.15, which will then multiply that by our current amount to obtain our new amount. So we have 1.15 by the old amount to get the new amount. Now, what will be the result after a 9% increase of 3,000? You can pause the video here and try it out yourself. Well, here we again first convert 9% into a decimal, which gives us 0.09, which we then add to 1 to give us 1.09, after which we'll multiply that by 3,000. So here again you can point straightforward 1.09 by 3,000 to get 3,270. Better still, you can just find 9% of 100, which we know to be 9. And we know there are 30 hundreds in 3,000. So we simply multiply 9 by 30 to give us 270. And then we add that to our 3,000 to get 3,270. Now let's proceed to percentage decrease. Let's say, how do you decrease an amount by 15%? This time round, you would convert 15% to a decimal, which we know to be 0.15. And we'll subtract that from 1. to give us 0.85. We'll then multiply 0.85 by our current amount to get our new amount. Now, what will be the result after an 8% decrease of 300? You can pause the video and try it out yourself. And try to get the answer in say less than 10 seconds. Alright, now, as we've learned already, we would first convert 8% into a decimal, which gives us 0.08. Then subtract that from 1 to give us 0.92. And then we'll now multiply that by 300 to give us 276. Here again, instead of punching 0.92 by 300 on the calculator in the GRE exam, you can simply find 0.92 of 100, which we know to be 92. And we know there are 3 hundreds and 300. So we simply multiply 92 by 3, which gives us 276. Now let's move on to an aspect of percentages which, though rarely comes, but is equally important. And that is finding an amount as a percent of another amount. Let's say what is 27 as a percent of 300. So over here you can pause the video and try to do this in say less than 10 seconds. Sometimes it's faster doing it in your head, or let me say in your mind. Here what we do is that the first amount, which we are finding it as a percent of another, becomes our numerator, and then the second amount becomes our denominator. So we have the first amount over the second amount, then we multiply all by 100. So here we have 27 over 300 by 100, which gives us 9%. Here again, we could be faster if we spot that 3 goes into both 27 and 300, which leaves us with 9 over 100. And this we know to be 0.09, which implies 9%. Let's move on to net percentage increase or decrease. Let's say the price of a commodity in a shop decreased by 15%. The employees in the shop are entitled to an additional discount of 20%. What is the net percentage decrease in the price for an employee at the shop? So you can pause the video and see whether you can do this in less than 20 seconds. Or you can continue watching to see how I'm going to go about it. So here, representing our initial percentage change by A and our additional percentage change by B, and knowing that an increase is a positive and a decrease is a negative. Now, using the formula negative A minus B plus AB over 100. So here we have negative 15 minus 20 plus 15 by 20 all over 100. And this gives us 38%. I think many students would have thought of just adding the two percentages to get 35%. And you would have been wrong. This is a very simple method of finding the net percentage decrease in case you are given two consecutive decreases. Now, representing an initial increase with a positive A and an initial decrease with a negative A, and representing a later increase by a positive B and a later decrease by a negative B. We could find other scenarios with this formula. With all we've learned so far, let's now look at reversing an increase or decrease. Here I usually say that let's shop with the letter N. You can use the letter N or any you feel comfortable with. For example, Billy had the salary increase by 15% to $3,450. What was his initial salary before the increase? So here, representing his initial salary with N, we know that a 15% increase gives us 1.15 from our earlier knowledge, which is converting 15% into a decimal to give us 0.15 and then adding that to 1. So we now multiply 1.15 by N, and this equates to 3,450. Now we can divide both sides by 1.15 to give us 3,000. This implies that Billy's salary before the increase was $3,000. So what if Billy's salary decreased by 15% to 3,000? We know the answer, but how will you do it? So once again, just like before, you convert 15% into a decimal. And this gives us 0.15. Since we are decreasing, we would subtract 0.15 from 1 to get 0.85. We then multiply this with our favorite letter N and equate it to 3,000. If we divide both sides by 0.85, it gives us 3,450. Kudos to all those who were able to do it. At least you should be able to do it in less than 15 seconds. Let's now proceed to my favorite aspect, present more or less than. Here the key thing to note is that the value or number that comes after the word than should be the denominator. Always remember that the value or number or figure that comes after the word than should be the denominator. Here we'll be dealing with a simple equation, which is as follows. So on this note, let's say Mary saw a salary increase from $2,700 to $3,000. The initial salary was what percent less than her current salary. We know our formula to be A minus B all over B, that's the number or value or figure after the word done. Then we'll multiply everything by 100. So inputting our values, we get 3,000 minus 2,700 all over 3,000 and all multiplied by 100. And this gives us 10%. I hope you got it right. Okay, so that sums it up for percentages. Now, I believe you are the dawn of percentages as far as the GRE, GMAT, and SAT is concerned. Usually, you could meet the questions under these forms that I just presented, or you could mix them for you. Other times, to the GRE, they are fond of combining the percentage and other questions. If you need my assistance, you can get my contact in the video description below, and I'll see how best I can aid you. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.